2.02 Flipped Lesson. City Spur Change. This goes along with your student guide pages 25, 26, and 27. Lesson Introduction. City Spur Change. Examine the map of the Italian peninsula at the dawn of the Renaissance. What does it remind you of? It reminds many people of a jigsaw puzzle of a boot. Each piece represents a separate city-state. Some city-states were big and powerful, and others were tiny but important. The people in all the city-states considered themselves Italian and spoke one Italian dialect or another, but each city-state ruled itself. Powerful merchant families ruled many of the city-states. As these powerful families competed, fought, and intermarried, the political map of Italy shifted. Lesson objectives. When you finish this lesson, you should be able to define manuscript and explain why manuscripts were very expensive, describe major characteristics of some of the city-states and identify some of the important individuals associated with them, describe the Renaissance cities as catalysts for change at the close of the Middle Ages, describe the role of guilds in Italian city-states, explain that Italian city-states were often republics led by powerful merchant families, explain the social significance of the printing press, identify Johannes Gutenberg as the 15th century inventor of the modern printing press, identify on a map major city-states including Venice, Florence, Rome, and the German city of Augsburg. City-states. The medieval world had been shaped by the manner the Renaissance world was forged by cities. A city-state is an independently ruled city and the land around it. Italian city-states in the Renaissance were often called republics, which is a type of government, led by powerful merchant families. People flocked to the Renaissance cities because the Renaissance cities were centers of commerce and craftsmanship. Laborers came to build city walls. Cask makers, cart builders, blacksmiths, and shipwrights plied their trades. Farmers and herders came to cultivate the land and tend their flocks outside the town walls. Money. Craftsmen tried to make money. The craftsmen and merchants tried to improve their products or sell something no one else had. And rich business owners found ways to spend money. Wealthy families began to build elegant homes. Some supported or patronized artists by buying their works or paying them to create new works. The business owners started to fund town projects, such as a new statue, town hall, or fresco for a chapel. Wealthy merchant families often took a special interest in making their city's church the finest one around. Disadvantages of living in Renaissance cities. Early Renaissance cities were dangerous places. They were crowded, dirty, and unsanitary. There were thieves waiting to strike. There were also deadly schemes to get rid of people who were in power. Guilds. A business association created by people working in the same industry to protect their common interests and maintain standards within the industry. Guilds wanted to influence the city government. The city governments decided what improvements to make in churches, markets, town squares, and guild halls. Decisions made by the city governments would direct wealth to some and away from others. Gutenberg and the printing press. Manuscripts are handwritten books. Copying by hand took a long time, and the slow process made books very expensive. Gutenberg got the idea for the stamp from the mint where he worked. He got the idea of using a press while watching paper makers making paper from cloth rags and water. He saw the paper makers use a mechanical wooden press to squeeze water from the pulp sheet. How did the printing press work? The printer assembled letter blocks in a box-like frame to form words to print, and then inked the letters. After inking the letters, the printer placed the frames on the press table and covered them with a sheet of paper. The printer turned the lever to clamp down on the letters with great pressure to transfer the ink to the paper. Then, the printer removed the sheet of paper and set it aside to let the ink dry. Once the ink was dry, the finished page could be bound into a book with other pages. Gutenberg chose the Bible for his first printed book. Gutenberg chose the Bible because it was the most widely read book in Europe and it was very important. The printing press influenced literacy and scholarship and is considered one of the most significant inventions in history. After hearing about Gutenberg's printing press, many others created printing presses. Many of these printers and presses traveled to Venice, where scholarship flourished. The printers in Venice and other cities produced texts in Latin and Greek. They published works of Cicero and Plato. They printed books about medicine, philosophy, art, and much more. As books became cheaper and more plentiful, more people learned to read. Before the printing press, all books had to be written by hand. Gutenberg's press could produce multiple copies of books more quickly and less expensively, which meant more people could purchase books. As greater numbers of books were published, more and more people learned to read. Books traveled from one end of Europe to another. Many people learned new ideas by reading books. Many Christians could then own and read their own Bibles. Okay, and this is just this I believe is the last page in your student guide, page 26. I'm not going to go through all of this on the flip video lesson. You can read it for yourself. I would highly suggest you pause the flip video lesson right now and go ahead and make sure you're on page 27 and fill all of this in about the individual city-states, Florence, Rome and the Papal City-States, Augsburg, Venice, and you can go ahead and fill these in on your own. Okay, you can pause the video now, and then you can start it back up when you're done. And here we come to the end. I thought this picture was cute. Thank you for the books. The best book I ever got. Have a great day, everyone.